What if I told you there are jobs out there that pay more than a doctor? Yeah, seriously. And you don't need a decade of med school or that crushing student debt. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on 5 invisible jobs, jobs that tap into a hidden market where the skills you actually need might really surprise you.
So, have you ever noticed that the jobs everyone thinks are high-paying and remote are often kind of boring, or maybe not what they're cracked up to be? We see all these flashy, cool ways to make a living online, right? But are they really the best path? That question is exactly what we're digging into today. And, that's the big problem with those cool jobs. It's like everyone's trying to get into the same tiny door. The competition is insane, and your pay usually tops out pretty quick. But the real secret, the real opportunity, is in these invisible jobs, the ones nobody's even looking for. Think about it. Almost zero competition and a massive potential for growth. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the secrets of this whole invisible wealth idea. Then I'll show you how we're going to rank these jobs. After that, we'll dive into roles for thinkers and strategists, and then roles that are all about human connection. And finally, we'll wrap up with how you can find your own path. Let's get to it. So how in the world do we compare all these totally different jobs? Well, we're actually borrowing a fun idea from that classic card game, Top Trumps. It's a super simple but really powerful way to see how these opportunities stack up against each other just at a glance. Okay, so these are the 4 things we're going to look at for each job. First up, earning power. Obvious, right? How much can you actually make? Second, we've got a beginner's score. Basically, how easy is it to jump in without needing, a decade of training? Third, and this one's huge, is AI survivability. Is a robot going to take this job in 5 years? And last but not least, growth potential. Where can this role actually take you in the long run? All right, let's dive into our first group of jobs, content and strategy roles. This section is for you if you're a strategic thinker. Or, let's be real, if you've ever spent 3 hours scrolling through TikTok or YouTube and thought, wait, how does this actually work? Who's pulling the strings here? So, our first job is the short-form strategist. And seriously, if you're guilty of those late-night TikTok binges, you might already be halfway there. This isn't about being an influencer or being on camera. Nope. It's all about having that strategic brain that can just see what's going to go viral. Okay, let's check out the stats here. The beginner score is a 9 out of 10. That's huge. It means you don't need a fancy film degree to get started. And look at that AI survivability, 8.5. Why so high? Well, sure, AI can spit out videos, but it has no clue about culture, about nuance, about what makes people actually stop and watch. That's a human skill. And now for the big number. While you might not start here, the top-tier strategists can pull in up to $172,000 a year. A lot of them even get bonuses based on how many views they get. I mean, come on, that is some serious money. Okay, job number 2, the content risk reviewer. You know that feeling when you're watching a video and you just think to yourself, oof, I'm not sure that should be online. Well, this job is for you. These people are basically the guardians of the internet, protecting billions of dollars in ad money for platforms like YouTube. And just check out these stats. The earning potential is a super solid 80 grand a year, but the number that should make you sit up and pay attention is that AI survivability score. A perfect 10 out of 10. I mean, this job is about as future-proof as you can get. So, why is that? Well, here's why. Think about this. 500 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. There's no way automated systems can catch everything. They just don't get sarcasm or context or that kind of awkward tone that tells you something's not right. That's where you, a human, become absolutely irreplaceable. And that actually is the perfect transition to our next set of jobs, the ones that are all about communication and empathy. These are the roles where being human isn't just a nice to have, it's literally the entire job description. Come on, we've all been there, right? You're on a website, you're stuck in that endless loop with a totally useless chatbot, and you're just smashing the keyboard, typing, "Let me talk to a real person." Well, with this job, you get to be that real person. You're the hero who bridges the gap between the confused AI and the customers who just need some real help. And the numbers on this are pretty wild. You can earn up to $120,000, and the growth potential is a perfect 10. So why is that? Because think about it. It's way more efficient for a company to pay one smart person to manage an army of bots than it is to hire dozens and dozens of support agents.
You basically become a super employee, a force multiplier.
Okay, so this next one, it might sound a little intense at first. It's the funeral sales specialist. And I know it sounds kind of morbid, but this job isn't really about what you think. It's about giving people peace of mind. It's about helping families plan for the future so their loved ones don't have to deal with a ton of stress later on. And the pay is definitely not morbid. Top earners can easily make over 6 figures. But once again, look at that AI survivability score. A perfect 10. And for good reason. There is just no piece of tech on this planet that can do what this job requires. And here's the really deep reason why. An AI hasn't lived, so it can't possibly understand death. It can process numbers, sure, but it can't process grief. It can't offer real, genuine comfort to someone who's hurting because it has zero lived experience. That human connection, it's something technology is never, ever going to be able to fake. All right, our fifth and final invisible job is the remote setter. And hey, if anyone's ever told you that you talk too much, well, this might be your calling. This is where that skill finally pays the bills. You're basically the person who gets the ball rolling, who starts the conversation and figures out if someone is a good customer for a business. This job is super beginner-friendly. That's why we've highlighted that score. You don't have to be some slick salesperson. You're not closing the deal. You're just talking to people, seeing if they're a good fit, and then booking the actual sales call. But, and this is key, because you are directly feeding the business with good potential customers, the money is great. It can go all the way up to $84,000 a year. So there you have it. 5 amazing, totally overlooked jobs. But look, just knowing they exist isn't enough. This last part is honestly the most important bit of all. It's about you. It's about how you can stop just drifting and actually start making conscious choices to build your own wealth. So, which path should you choose? Look, it could be one of these strategy roles, or something in content, or one of the communication jobs. But the real question isn't just which one pays the most. The real question is, which path feels right for me? Which one lines up with what I'm naturally good at? And this, right here, is the biggest secret of all. The real key to building wealth is to stop drifting. Stop letting your career just happen to you. The people who really succeed, the ones who build real, lasting wealth, they're the ones who make a decision. They choose a direction and move with purpose. So what do you do now? It's actually pretty simple. 3 steps. Step 1, choose a path. It could be one of these 5 or something else entirely. Just choose. Step 2, become obsessed. I mean it. Dive in, learn everything you possibly can about it. And step 3, take all that knowledge and that passion and focus it on providing real, undeniable value to others. That, my friends, is the real path to invisible wealth.